This is Black Woman CEO. Welcome to the only podcast dedicated to giving you the raw and real experiences of successful Black women entrepreneurs. Yes, girl, we're talking about the behind the scenes strategies of what it takes to increase in your profit, power, and purpose. I am your host, Quanisha Green, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Hey there. This is Quanisha Green, a Black Woman CEO, coming to you with an important topic that is coming up again and again on social media and different communities. And right now, it's the question of, during a crisis, do you sell or not sell? And here's the thing, I don't actually believe the question to sell or not to sell. And so we're going to talk about why I feel that way and why that is today. So to be repurposed as a podcast episode, yay. So if you are listening to the podcast, please leave comments what you think about the episodes especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a comment, subscribe, and like, so Apple Podcast knows like this and that they would share it. If you are here live with me, go ahead and drop a hey girl, how you doing? Put the number 1 if this is your first time hanging out with us. Put CEO sister if you are a veteran in this community and you're like, yeah, Quanisha, I know you. How you doing? Right. So let me know that. I always love to know who's coming here. And then once again, every time you interact with this video, whether it's a reaction, whether it's even a comment, it allows Facebook to know that this is something that they should share more widely and let it reach the different folks who are on our platform. So that is one way you can pay it forward to another sister and rise, because on the Facebook, have about 15,000 followers. And then in the Facebook group, we have about, 5,200 followers as of this date. So we definitely want to make sure that everyone is being informed and getting some of this good knowledge, right? So I would love to ask you the question, what do you think during a crisis? Is it your answer to the question of to sell or not to sell? And I actually just asked this in preparation for this video. And I want to share some of the insights that came from other Black women CEOs around what they think should happen during times of crisis. And then particularly as of this recording, and not to date it, because that's why I said during a crisis in general, but right now in the US, actually the globe is the world, right? We are experiencing a pandemic, as the World Health Organization has put it, a pandemic of the coronavirus. Right. So right now, many states are going into self-quarantines. People are being asked to work from home. What else? It's just a lot, right? Schools are closed. Like my kids are home right now from school, and daycares are being closed. So there is a lot going on in this time, right? And so you can say it's a crisis, bad time versus a good time. So that's why that question is coming up on, well, what do small business owners and just general entrepreneurs do when you're in the space? I'm going to talk about some of the mindset and thoughts that could be coming up around this that's keeping you thinking that you don't want to sell. But when I took this question in the group, the consensus was that we should sell. Right. And so I'm going to talk about why that truly isn't the question that we should all be asking. So Crystal said, sell people have to refocus their energy on something positive. So when I asked, what are your thoughts around selling right now? She said, sell people. People have to refocus their energies on something positive. Kimberly said, why wouldn't someone sell? People are still buying what they want and need. I still buy products and services. Why hold back? Just my 2 cents. Shakika said, keep selling and operating business as usual. You cannot, quote unquote, get ghosts at this time will pass. And you will need this time to keep people engaged. Shayla said, sell, period. You have a greater audience time. Keep up the momentum. You can help to transform someone's life right now, right? You can help to transform someone's life right now. And for all those reasons, I agree with every single one. So I'm glad I don't even have to go down of, hey, here's why I used to sell, because you all did it in the comment there, right? But let me share some of the other sides of this when people are considering this question, to sell or not to sell. So I was motivated to do this video because earlier today I had a coaching call. It was a 90-minute group coaching call with clients, and my goal for them was to actually share their thought leadership. So I've been talking about this on and off, both in our paid communities as well as in our free community, the Facebook group. And if you are listening, particularly to the podcast or this video that's not on somewhere else, Facebook, definitely go to facebook.com/groups with an S/Black Women CEO. And that's women with an A. And I'll make sure that, once again, this is in the show notes as well, that you can click and go and join our online sanctuary for Black women entrepreneurs, service-based and experienced experts who really want to grow in their confidence as a CEO, elevate and emancipate their earning power. So you can come on over and hang out with us. So when I asked my clients earlier, like, how were you all feeling this week? Especially around me urging you all and encouraging you all to get out there and share your thought leadership and sell. Here's some of the things they said, and let me know if this resonates with you. So put resonate if you maybe had this perception or you're having this perception, and let's talk about how to debunk it. So you can say these are myths. So here's some of the myths that they had that came up. One person said that they thought, who am I, or I shouldn't capitalize on this time of crisis, right? I shouldn't capitalize on what is actually happening here, right? But I didn't even have to debunk this myth for her, because we go through a process where I teach them how to reframe their thoughts. And so this is how she shifted her thinking around this. She said, actually, it's a disservice if I don't sell and let people know what I'm doing. We'll talk about what sales means and different ways that you can do this right now. Because here's the thing, she said, I'm helping people right now. I'm offering my services locally. So why not would I share that more widely, right? And she was like, I remember when you say that, it's stingy of us, right? It's a disservice if we don't sell. And let me frame that up for those of you who are listening. There are people out there yearning for solutions. Or if you're say you're posting or sharing articles, there are going to be people who are like, okay, you just told me, Quanisha, these 3 I do, right? And if you don't invite them to the next step, for those who are ready, you have now left these people kind of out there. They're aware of their problem. They want to fix it. And you didn't give them a clear path on how they could do it, right? So you're doing them a disservice. Once again, it's like getting somebody hot and bothered, and then you don't continue through with, the pleasure that they may be seeking. And of course, this consent, you can always take your consent back. So that's not what I'm talking about, right? So 2 consenting adults, if someone stops, it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? I'm more hot and bothered, right? So it's doing a disservice if you're not, giving them an opportunity to actually pursue their vision and the desires and the results and the transformation that you said you provide. Some of you are going to write to me like, Quanisha, really, was that your example? Sorry, it's what came off the top of my head right now. So don't yell at me in the chat. So it's a disservice, right? Being kind of stingy with your knowledge, right? So there are people, think about if we were in a desert and you know that there was a whole well of water, right, that we could have, and you're like, oh, I'm not telling anybody about the water over there that can quench their thirst, right? That's doing a disservice to them. And 1 second, everyone, let me pause because my child is climbing. I got to lock the door. Okay, I am back. As you can see, that's part of the interesting thing of working from home. And that's why I'm so glad I'm doing this online summit tomorrow about maintaining your calm and confidence during crisis, where I'm actually going to bring on some experts to talk about how do you balance, working from home with your kids or family. And so we have a whole lineup, and I'm so excited about them coming. And actually, if you look in the description above or in the show notes, you will see the link to that where you can RSVP and all points on what we're covering on Wednesday, March 18th. And if you're listening to this after the date, I will then put in the link where you can see, because they're going to stay up, because I want that to be a free resource. And also it'll be the following podcast episodes. So you can look at the next couple of podcasts for those titles, right? So that's a little mommypreneur-ish thing that happened just now, working from home. All right, but we're all, and I think you all can hear myself. Great. Just put hear you if you're down below, just so I can just confirm that you all can hear me. Just put here. And once again, if something's resonating with you, let me know. What are you walking away with? What are some of your insights? Hopefully I can see the chat, which is not really showing up. So we'll work that out. Okay, so that was the first thought that you can say is a myth, is that you are capitalizing, say, on a tragedy or a crisis. And one way you can do that is to reframe, to think like, hey, it would be a disservice if I'm not offering my help or the value to those who need it, right? And this is not like being a ministry, right? Our businesses are here to solve a solution, and then we're asking in exchange for that solving solution that people pay us for our service, right? That we're being compensated. It's that exchange of currency for your service, right? Or your expertise. So once again, it doesn't have to be the water example where you're like charging people for the water, right? So there are people who capitalize on these type of things. I just read a New York Times article where there was a guy who, knowing that this was happening, he went and bought close to 20,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, right? And right now, nobody can find any hand sanitizer. And guess what? He started selling them on Amazon. He even went to different states, right, to collect. He got a U-Haul. He went to all these dollar stores and different things. And then he started selling them on Amazon and selling them for prices of like $20, $40. You know, hand sanitizer is like $1.99, right? $1, $2.99. So he was price gouging, and then Amazon shut it down. Everybody that was selling hand sanitizer and masks, because they were price gouging, they shut it down. So he had a New York Times article saying, oh my gosh, I have 17,000 hand sanitizers and nowhere to sell them. And so I was like, are they trying to position him as the victim here? And he tried to convince himself that this was okay. He was like, oh, I'm taking it from a place where not too many people are to the market where people need it. When he know that's not what he was trying to do, right? He had sold a couple and already made $25,000. He had a huge profit margin. And then I saw the article today that said Tennessee State, I think it was not the Surgeon General, whatever the legal part is, it's not coming to me yet, probably. Attorney General, maybe that. They told him, you are going to be fined for price gouging, or you can donate all 17,000 of these hand sanitizers, right? So that's an example of someone capitalizing on this tragedy, right? Or this crisis and this bad time. And that is not what you are doing, right? It'll be different if you're like, oh, here's my services, I'm going to add another $5,000 to something I usually charge $10,000 for, right? Here's the thing, hand sanitizer, you can say, is a necessity right now. Like, we got to wash our hands. And of course, if you have soap, but some people need hand sanitizer, they may not have access to sink. That's a necessity. Now, most of our services are discretionary purposes, right? Even if people feel like they really need them, it's not life or death, right? We know, of course, it will increase their lives and transform them and get them to where they want to go, fulfill them, right? But it's not like water. Like, we need water, love, sex, right? All those different things. We think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to survive. And in this crisis, we need water, we need soap, right? We need hand sanitizer. Professionals need masks, right? So that they don't catch the virus. So there's different things that folks need. Eventually donated it. So I hope you can see what is like, to reframe this mind of you capitalizing as someone who actually did capitalize on this crisis, and shift that myth that service, if you don't show up and sell, and we'll talk about what that is, or let people know that you have a solution to their problem. So here's the other mindset. And this was the other side of, someone else said they also thought about capitalizing. And here's how she reframed it. And I about this in another way. She was like, instead of me thinking that, who am I to share this resource? She is a therapist, and she was telling people how they could use online therapy. And she was like, are people going to see me as like trying to get them to buy from me? I guess you can say salesy. Right. She was like, am I being salesy? And then once again, underlying that was like, am I capitalizing on a tough time or a crisis that people are going through? Right. And she reframed it as seeing that as she was actually sharing, people said, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know my insurance maybe cover online therapy. I didn't know I could do that working from home, right? Whether as a small business owner, I didn't know that was covered. So she actually saw that there was a gap that people did not know about online therapy, right? This resource that she knew about that would help them to, health, right? So they didn't know that. And that's when she figured out that her job and around selling as a business owner is to educate, inform, and be a resource, right? And she said to educate, inform, and be a resource, right? So that's how she started to think about, oh, this is how I'm showing up in marketing. This is the purpose of it, or the end result of it. Being a resource is making that invitation for people to work with you, right? So when we think about, okay, what is someone's best next step? What is their recommended step? It is your solution, right? It is your solution. Sales doesn't have to be icky, doesn't have to make you feel like a used car salesman, because guess what? You're not selling the lemon, and you're not pressuring people. You're letting people know, hey, this resource is available, and if you're ready to take the next step, click here, call me, here's go by, right? So there's that. The other thing that came up that around someone's thoughts around this, around to sell or not to sell, someone actually said, what do I have to say? Right? Like, do I have anything to say that would actually add value, that would make sense? And then she also talked about, oh my gosh, what would my family and friends say? So this particular person, she was known in one field. She's switching fields. So she's going from selling insurance to being a speaker. And she was like, oh, if I do show up, like, are people going to be like, who is she? Why is she doing this? Like, see her, you can say as an expert and someone of value. So we have to shift that for her a little bit and thinking about, you are a valuable resource, right? No matter what. And that the people who need you and the problem that you want to solve through your business, right? Because once again, people pay for solutions. Those are the people that you're talking to. Right? Those are the people that you're targeting. And so I also had to remind her, like, hey, just showing up is enough because there are people who aren't doing that. So some of you may be thinking that this whole question of to sell and not to sell is like, well, what would I talk about in the first place? Do I have anything to even offer in that way? And even you showing up to educate and inform and be a resource could be enough, even if you don't know exactly what you're saying or you don't know what the next step may be for someone, right? And sometimes that's where you need to get support and coaching so we can help you create a package and you know what to do. So let me know if there's some other mindsets that you have, right? So these are some of the, you can say, quote unquote, limiting beliefs that on the call, my coaching call today, that came up around some of my clients. Some of them reframed it and did our self-coaching techniques themselves. And then some of them needed some support and actually thinking differently around how as an expert and what that meant for them to start to be in the marketplace. Important. Well, let me say my stance. So when I say to sell or not to sell isn't the question, right? Because I believe for business owners of any type, who should keep doing business. And here's why, right? So one of the key factors in a buying decision is something called the like, know, and trust factor. They have to like you. They have to feel like they know you. They need to feel like they trust you, right? Have confidence that you can actually get them the result, right? And consistency builds trust in itself. So if you are showing up and doing marketing before the crisis and you, like as someone said, get ghosts, it starts to lower that like, know, and trust factor. It's like, okay, where did Quanisha go? Like, we haven't seen her. And then you try to show up, 2 months from now, you're like, hey, buy from me. And it's like, I don't know you. Like, or where did you go? Like, you went away. Right. So us being consistent and showing up, that's one of the things is that we want to continue to nurture and cultivate those relationships and build that like, trust factor that's so pivotal to people making a buying decision. Right. And some people will instantly have it with you and they're like, yes, I want to work with you. You're going to help me. Most people need to have 6 before they make a buying decision. So you want to keep showing up. Right? Because the question of to sell or not to sell isn't the question, is, are you positioning yourself in your business to be a viable solution, right? When people are ready, right? To show them that you're not going to disappear, that you're someone that they can count on, hard times or good times, right? To service them, to be of service to them when or if they need you. Right. So that's one reason I want you all to like rethink this whole to selling is not really about that. The other thing is that positioning yourself as a thought leader and an expert, one, it helps you to get paid top dollar, right? Because then you become the go-to person around these topics. Because here's the thing, many people will actually shrink and they won't show up. And this is one way for you to dominate your field by consistently showing up and becoming the expert in helping people through this challenge. Right. And one way we can do it, I shared in the last video on maintaining your confidence and calm as a CEO. I talked about content marketing as one of the key ways to position yourself as a thought leader and expert. I even gave you a formula on how to create that content. So definitely go back and listen to that. I'll drop it in the link for the video. And then if you're on the podcast, just go to the previous episode to this recording and you will. Right. So you become the go-to person. You become the go-to person, because here's the thing. You want to get to this place in your business that when people think of your area of expertise, they instantly think of you or your business, right? So I have Black women who come to me all the time. So I have this sought after. I don't teach my clients to chase people. We magnetize, right? We attract those people who are ready to work with us. And so showing up, sharing thought leadership keeps you top of mind, right, with your audience. Right. So that when they think about, hey, I need a productivity expert, I need someone to help me come organize my home, they think of you. Oh, I need, someone to help me work through my emotions. They think of you as the business therapist, right? And so for me, I constantly have highly educated Black women that come to me and they're like, Carnesha, I'm ready to do my business. Or I actually realized I need to grow my business. I felt like I'm stuck. And I instantly thought of you as someone who could help me. And they'll drop a DM in my messenger, right? Or send me an email. And guess what? I don't need to quote unquote sell them. It's like, okay, well, here's the option of how we can move forward. And they're like, bet, great, let me sign up. Right. So, but it's because I show up and I share and I'm consistent that they're like, oh, here's Cornelia, right? Versus the person who may be showing up every 3 months. So once again, I'm building that like, know, and trust factor. I'm cultivating, positioning myself as a thought leader by sharing my insight, my worldview, and what I know. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Right. So if you've been wanting to become a sought after expert to get paid top dollar, this is the vehicle to do so. So whether in good or bad times, show up. And let me actually add this as a disclaimer. Not well. Right? Of course, I don't want you to quote unquote kill yourself in some way to do this. Of course, you want to tend to yourself, your health, the health of your family. But this is also why you have to virus proof your business. So I talked about that in another episode. So I will put this in the show notes as well as the comments. You have to, I share 10 tips to virus proof your business. So if you well right now, I'm not saying that you have the coronavirus, but maybe the kids are home or you have an elder a senior parent that you're working about and trying to tend to, your business should not have to stop because maybe you have to step out of it, right? And revenue shouldn't stop because you're not actively selling, right? So you got to this, and that is in another episode. Share the links for that. But once again, if you want to become sought after, if you don't like chasing people, and I never advocate that, if you want to attract people who are ready to work with you, showing up consistently, sharing your thought leadership is so important. And, there's lots of things I can say to debunk this whole to sell it. Of course, I don't want this to be a huge, long, audio or training or whatever or conversation. The third thing I want to remind you of is that everyone may be we all are facing a global crisis right now in a pandemic, but everyone is not in a personal crisis, right? So everyone broke. As in not having any money, right? Some of us think, oh, I should not sell or I should not make an offer because people can afford it right now, or their money's tied up and taking care of themselves, right? So although we're experiencing an unforeseen global event, everyone isn't broke. There are people who are well-resourced, right? There are people who are still getting paid, but maybe they're working from home, right? There are people who are probably hiring tutors and a nanny, and maybe not because we're kind of social distancing, right? To take care of their children. They have savings, right? So basically the same ways that people invest in services and the means that they have are usually still available for them, right? Or there are people who do have those means. So why not still show up and tell those people how you can serve them and meet their problems, right? So it's not to sell or not to sell because you think people are broke. That's just not true, right? And here's the thing. If you are quote unquote broke or having a hard time financially, you can't project that on to other people, right? You're like, well, I'm having a hard time financially. They must be having a hard time. No, everyone is not that way. And so as a service provider, though, again, if you believe that you are a valuable resource, your service gets results and it's not about what you personally have in the bank. It's about, once again, serving that person who is ready and able to buy from you despite what your situation is. And here's the thing, if you sell, that will alleviate some of your situation because you would be getting paid, right? And that money would be helping your situation. So once again, don't project whatever's happening in your personal life or your money mindset beliefs, right, that you need to make over onto somebody else, because once again, they may have the means, they may be a premium, I call her Miss Premium, who's like, hey, I want someone to do it for me, do it with me, right, or help me to do it myself, right? She's someone who's invested in herself, she's someone who's valued herself and having self-investment. So there are those people who are still out there, right, and they got money and they're still looking for solutions even during this time. So some of the not challenge, like we may have to pivot, right, a little bit to make sure it's kind of fitting into needs at the time of crisis, right? Because say you're a relationship coach and you help people to create boundaries or to communicate better with their families and in their lives. Maybe it's like, hey, here's how to communicate better with your family while you all are stuck in the house together, right? So they still have the problem, but it may be amplified right now because it's a crisis. And you're like, and whatever circumstances are around that, right? So start to think about your subject area and how it may be related to what people are experiencing right now. Hey, my subject area is business education and coaching for Black women. And I know some of you are thinking right now, do I sell or not sell? And experienced experts, right? So I'm like, okay, let me talk about this and frame it within the experience that we are having right now. And you can do that with your topic. That's actually was the exercise that I took my clients through the day, right? So you're going to see me sharing their videos and also sharing, some of them are coming on to present during the Maintain Confidence During Crisis live stream series. And they took their knowledge and they're framing it now within what they know or the gap that need to fill in this particular time, and then inviting people to work with them, right, or to enter their community so that they can build that like, know, and trust factor, and then maybe see this person as their next step for getting support, right? So that is some of the reasons why I want to rethink that. And number 4, actually, so I shared 3 just now. The other thing you want to reconsider, and why the whole to sell or not to sell isn't the question, is that smaller businesses, I'm sorry, my voice cracked. Let me, hold on. The driving engine, economic engine, at least in the United States, are small businesses, right? And well, you say businesses, but particularly small businesses, you can say the businesses who are making under $250,000 a year. That's how they're defined as a small business. We make the world go round, right? In the United States. So if we stop selling, right, and people stop buying from us, we are also contributing to, you can say, the financial crisis, right? So we want to keep showing up, generating revenue, not only for the whole, health of the nation, also for your health, right? So here's the thing. I don't have any other income. For me, it's business or bust, right? And like I said in the 10 tips to virus-proof your business, yes, I have diverse streams of revenue that comes through my business. So I'm not like, if for some reason one dries up right now, or people like, I don't want to pay for the retreat yet, right? Because we had to reschedule it. Not saying that won't happen, because everybody was happy about the rescheduling. But if that did happen, I have revenue coming in other ways, right? If I don't keep doing business and operating and cultivating relationships, I call it the profit roadmap, or 5-step process for a revenue generating business. If I don't keep doing my profit roadmap, right, I'm setting myself up for failure in my business, right? And one of your roles as a CEO, the first role is to drive the vision. The second role, revenue. So if I'm not driving revenue, I'm putting my business in a dangerous situation. And then ultimately, I'm putting my livelihood and my family in a dangerous situation if I'm not bringing that revenue in. So if we tell people not to sell, right? Because like, oh, you're capitalizing, like some of the myths that we talked about, we are impacting their lives, right? As small business owners. And then ultimately we are impacting the nation, because then the revenue, right? The taxes will be getting paid, all these things, that's that trickle. I hate to use the word trickle down because of the orientation, but all the trickling, waves, let's use waves, the ripples of that. Also think about this in a large text, right? That we actually need small businesses to keep making money to support many of the things that happen in this country through taxes, as well as us being able to invest in the, invest our monies and things like that into our financial system that helps it go around, right? And the last thing I want to say about this thing, to sell or not to sell, and I'm going to share some ways, once again, that you can sell, that's not just about making money and how you can show up, is that the results that you're experiencing today is the fruit of your labor from the previous 30, 60, or 90 days, right? Or the past 30, 60, or 90 days. So the result on your business is a result of the actions you took or didn't take over the 90 days prior, right? So what I don't want to see you have happen is that now, so let's use some real time, it's March 2020, so April, May, June, that you get to June, I ain't got no revenue, right? Or I wasn't positioning myself, I don't have any opportunities, or I don't have a pipeline full of people work with me or looking to work with me, because you stopped right now, really, quote unquote, selling or operating and running your business due to this unforeseen global event. Because here's the thing that we can be certain of, like every other major pandemic or crisis that we've experienced, you can say biological, right, is that it will pass, right? It will pass. We know it's going to pass. So are you preparing yourself right now for the future of your, like I said, what you do now is going to impact you. You may see the fruit of that labor over the next 30 to 90 days. So the question is, where will you be when it's over? Where will you be? Like I said, will you be seen as a leader? Will you have a pipeline full of potential clients who are ready to work with you? Or even will you have hired clients in that time getting paid? And then will you have new dreams and increased capital over that time period? Right? Because here's the truth, the businesses that survive and thrive during difficult times are the ones that keep marketing and keep selling. We saw that with the Great Depression, right? The people got a foothold, and the ones that are now saying our company has been around for 100, 150 years marketing during the, right? And once again, you may pivot, and they may have pivoted, but they were committed. They were committed. What does this mean for you? Keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep connecting, and keep making offers. Keep making offers. All the things I just told you is a way that you can sell, right? So sometimes it's not making an offer. Sometimes it's selling your message, right? Your worldview, your thought leadership around the topic, the topic of the solution and the problem that you solve for your target audience, right? You can say, what I'm doing right now is sharing a message, right? I'm cultivating, I'm attracting people to me, and I'm sharing my worldview. They're getting to know me, that like, know, and trust factor, because I'm doing this video, I'm showing up, I'm doing this audio, right? I'm showing up. So right now I'm sharing the message, right? Then the other thing you can sell is you. Once again, people buy because they like, know, and trust you. Many of us are the face of our businesses, right? And people also want to know the person behind the business, even if someone is not always a spokesperson, but they want people behind the business, right? They want to know your personal philosophies. How are you maybe dealing with this crisis, or what are you doing personally, right? So I'm constantly even sharing, like, hey, here's how I got stocked without me going to Costco, right? I'm sharing some of my own beliefs, or why I decided to reorganize our retreat and move it to November, because I had to not only think about my health, but the health of those who were coming, as well as liability, right? So let them see aspects of your personal life, right? So you can be selling you in that sense. And once again, this is not about being inauthentic, but this is actually about being vulnerable and transparent and authentic. Let them see the person behind the brand, right? Because once again, we're trying to build this pivotal factor, that like, know, and trust factor that leads to people buying, right? The other way you can sell is to make that direct offer, right? To make that direct offer. And I want you to even think about that differently, where you are simplification ready to take the next step with you, right? For those who are saying, wow, this moved me, this touched me, or I see that I am ready to solve this problem. I see why that particular person's way is the way that I want to go. And you're making the invitation, say, hey, if you're ready, let's talk. Or click here to go enroll now, right? You're taking them to a sales page or a conversation or whatever means that you use to close the deal, right? And get paid, right? And then you, of course, delight and deliver. You got to give the person or serve the person the way that you said. So those are 3 ways that actually you can sell. That's not always about, hey, give me your money. Selling your message, right? Sharing that worldview that you have. Selling you, right? Showing up, sharing your stories, showing a picture of maybe your kids doing homework or not doing homework, right? Or you mask on, although you shouldn't have a mask on right now. Like whatever it is, like maybe you're in your kitchen fixing healthy meals because you're like, hey, I got to figure out how to get through this 2-week quarantine. So I'm freezing stuff. Like whatever it is, like show that humanity side of you, sell you, right? And even some of your personal worldviews that may not be like your company's worldviews, right? And then actually sell the offers, right? Make the invitation for people to work with you when they're ready to get to the next step. And even in that offer, you can even make the invitation for people to enter your community, right? So that call to action for someone to get your free offer or your free, whatever your free guide or your lead magnet is, right? That's that taste test of what you do. Because once again, when they get that, they get on your email list. And hopefully, and once again, you can listen to the training on maintaining your confidence. As a CEO, I talk about content marketing and why you actually should be showing up often, right, to cultivate those relationships, because it can take 6 to 12 touches for someone to become a client. So even in this time of crisis, even in the good and bad times, you want to keep showing up to cultivate those relationships. So either the making the offer could be the offer to listen, to exchange their email for the value that you have. Then hopefully you have processes, right, and you're showing up to cultivate that, and then ultimately, once again, to propose, right, to either propose that, make the invitation for them to work with you, right, or taking them to your sales page, however you make your offers, right, or you're making the offer direct of, hey, let's get on an enrollment call, or you can go to the sales page and enroll, where it's about, you can say lead generation or actually leading to the sale. So I hope you can see that to sell or not to sell isn't really the question. It really is about how are you going to show up consistently? How are you going to act these 3 connections, right? Sharing your message, sharing your offer, so that you are actually building this relationship. Because here's the thing, if you've been making offers and no one's been buying, it's because you didn't do the pre-selling. Right? And pre-selling is what I'm talking about, the messaging, the you, building the relationship, helping them see you as a thought leader so that when you are ready to sell or have a launch or whatever, they already know you, they're prime, right? And sometimes I know some of these words may sound like masculine, predatory, but let's take it from the orientation that we're doing this ethically and authentically. But so that when I say prime, they're ready. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see what else. Oh yeah, I want to come and check out her webinar, and the webinar may have an offer, right? So once again, people are in different places of the buying cycle. So all your pre-selling kind of helps to talk to these different places. And for those who are ready, they like to know and trust you, they will take the next step, right? They will take the next step. So I know that was a lot, but at least the consensus in the Facebook group from the folks who did comment and all these different entrepreneurs and all these different levels were like, sell. So that at least but I hope you to debunk some of the myths about, we're capitalizing on people, or do I really have anything to offer? Or, once again, the other part of capitalizing of like, do people really need this right now? Or they already know how to get it. It's like you to do that, right? And then the second part we talked about was why we need to actually keep showing up, right, for our businesses, building that like, know, and trust factor I just talked about. And, the content and consistency, right? So people actually have this confidence that you're going to be there in good or bad times. They can trust you. Building your thought leadership and expertise so that, one, you can be positioned for top dollar to get paid, and then you become sought after. People associate your name with whatever the topic or solution is that's solving. So when they need that help, or when they think about it, because guess what? Only about 3% of our audience is like ready to buy at some time. But that other 90%, you want to stay top of mind so that when they are ready, they're like, oh, I got to go talk to Kimberly. Oh, I got to go talk to Shayla. Oh, I got to talk to Crystal, right? I'm just saying some of the names of the people who are alive. Oh, I got to go talk to Erica, right? So you want to stay top of mind. And the last thing, or the last two things was that, one, everybody ain't broke, even if you're broke, right? But everybody ain't broke, right? Excuse me. And there are still people who are willing to pay a premium and have the means to pay a premium to get help, to help you do it with them, to show themselves, or to work them. Right? There are still people with the means who are ready to invest in you. And part of your job is to not project your money stuff or your money mindset stuff that you're dealing with onto other people. Right? So you're attracting the people who are ready and you're seeking to connect with them. And you should be doing that, whether good or bad times. And the last thing around why it's not a question of to sell or not to sell is to understand that small businesses make the world go around. And for some of you, this is your main endeavor. So you are doing a disservice to your family, to yourself, if you quote unquote shut down your business, right? And think about the larger economics of the country, that we actually need people buying and selling, because that's where our country is made up of. So we don't want to see a financial crisis and meltdown, even with the stocks going down. Let's not contribute to that by shutting our doors, right? And not giving people the opportunity to even keep buying. And then the last thing I shared was those 3 ways to sell. The messages, like sharing your message and your worldview, right? Or the myth, mistakes, and things think about. And once again, if you're looking for some information on content marketing in a special formula, listen to, and I'll put this in the chat or the show notes, listen to the previous podcast, the Maintaining Your Calm and Confidence as a CEO, where I go more in depth in content marketing. That was part of the presentation for the Maintain Your Momentum live series with LaShonda Henry. So I go into more details about sharing that message. And the other thing you can sell is you, right? Showing them the behind the scenes brand, building that connection that way, and maybe even how you're working through this crisis, or even, once again, even when it's not a crisis, the behind the scenes. And then the last thing that you're selling is an actual offer, either for to enter your community by your free offers, and then you're cultivating that relationship. But you also want to make the offer directly, right, and very clearly inviting people to work with you, to become a client or to become a customer. Right. So the question isn't, during the crisis, to sell or not to sell isn't the question. The question is really, how are you going to show up, right? So people can know that you are someone who can help them with their problem and solve their solutions, right? They can look to you for value and for answers, and to support them during this crisis and beyond, right? And beyond. And so one thing I want to do is to our Maintain Your Calm and Confidence crisis is actually going to series as of this date that we're doing on March 18th, starting at 1:30. We have about 5 or 6 speakers who are coming to talk about a number of things that's going to help you really get through this time. And I was trying to look, but it's not coming to me right now. But if you click the link that's either in the show notes and the video, it says to RSVP, is going to take you to the event page where you can actually see the full description of the event and some of the topics that we're covering. Oh, here it is. So once again, when you click the link, and we have expert lineup, I'll be sharing that. But really, during times of crisis are particularly hard hitting, as we just said, for entrepreneurs and small business owners. So I want you to join me and other brilliant Black women CEO experts. Some of these are my mentors, my business besties, right? My CEO sisters. And some of them are actually our clients, my clients. So I invited a number of my clients to share their expertise, because they have these great expertise that can help you through this. And you're going to learn effective strategies to navigate this unexpected world event. And once again, these are still going to be strategies that can just help you during times of crisis, and even in the good and the bad times, right? So during this Facebook Live virtual summit, you'll learn how to lead like a CEO and become a value add to your community, how to tend to and organize your family and life so that you can maintain momentum, how to incorporate or enhance your self-care practices, wellness, how to communicate and establish healthy boundaries, right? To prevent burnout and to reduce overwhelm, how to handle difficult emotions and take care of your mental wellness, right? And we're even going to start talking the money piece. So we're also going to talk about, so one of the titles is money in times of crisis, right? Another topic that we're going to have around money, we're trying to repeat, how to maintain your sanity to maintain your sales, right? So yes, we're doing the holistic aspects. So you can say this whole thing is holistic. We're talking about wellness, family, relationships, connection, and money, right? Because once again, if you are not setting up your business to drive revenue, if you're not taking that on, what you really have is an expensive hobby, right? And I'm not going to go deeply into that because I probably have done that before. We'll do it again coming up, right? So if you're or you haven't been really positioning your content, yourself as a clear solution and inviting people to work with you, you're not doing your job as a CEO. You really have an expensive hobby. So come to this. So one, you can learn, right? All these different things. And then particularly how to make sure that your business is starting to or either growing in this revenue. So ultimately you can have what you desire, right? Because I know you want to own your time. I know you want to financial freedom. I know you want to live on your terms, right? I know many of you want to travel the world or work from anywhere. So your business is a vehicle for you to do that. So not only are we here to serve, right, and have our businesses be a medium to honor our calling and serve our purpose, is also the medium for you to live the life that you desire, right? So honor yourself and your calling by making sure that you consistently show up for your business in good or bad times, right? To sell in all the ways that we talked about it. So once again, I want to invite you to come to the Maintain Your Calm and Confidence During Crisis. If you once again are listening to this audio or video, all the videos are going to be up, right? So they're still going to be timely and up after this so that you can engage with the content, even if you weren't here or can't be here live. So go ahead and click the link in the description, or once again, look at the show notes for all the resources. And so I hope that this served you. So let me leave you with our motto, that power is the ability to create your reality. So go forth and be powerful, sister, and I will talk with you soon.
Oh girl, the episode stopped, but the party is not over. I want you to go ahead and subscribe, like, and rate this show. Leave us a comment sharing your takeaways. And when you're done with that, come on over to BlackWomanCEO.com, join our movement. And when you do that, you'll get the special invitation to join us in our community. Well, I would love to put a face to that name, girl. So this is Quanisha signing off, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace and love.